Sorry for the delay, folks. Got to make sure it's up on the various Discords we're part of. You are back with two doctors and a nurse. As two doctors and a nurse enter Skyrim, you have one half of Two Doctors Media Collaborative. This is Brian, PhD student of sociology, studying criminology and demography at Bowling Green State University, coming at you with the perspective of social sciences, or at the very least, sociology.
Hey Brian, what is
we also have joining us again the other half of Two Doctors Media and our friend Ethan. Chris, take it away.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brian, so what are we trying to do here with two doctors and a nurse enter Skyrim? Who is our character? What are we doing?
Well, I believe our character's name is Social Scientist, for some odd reason. It was an old Nord man who, after returning to his homeland, has decided to partake in the studies in the fields of understanding his world through the social sciences. We are all exploring Skyrim from our different backgrounds of study. Me from sociology, C.D. Tavner from the law and environmental science, and our friend Ethan from public health and nursing. So, any other introductions y'all want to give?
Yeah, I would just like to say I think it was a lot of fun last week to dive into Skyrim with you guys, and I'm excited to continue our adventures with Social Scientist. Ethan, what are your favorite memories from last week? I mean, it was a wild ride, and do you want to also maybe queue up where we are now?
Yeah, so we started initially coming in on a prisoner wagon into Helgen, right? A small imperial fortress, and we were discussing who our person might be, social scientist background. And as he advanced through surviving an execution and a dragon attack, we started to take in our surroundings and think about, what might his motives be, and what might the dangers and societal things going on be that he's experiencing. We came into a town called Riverwood. We made some friends there.
Met a chicken who might have been the mayor.
Oh yeah, that's right. And we've been directed to, what is this, a crypt?
It's Bleak Falls Barrow. Also, shout out to Andy Taylor 823 for entering the vid. Welcome.
So, Social Scientist is halfway through Bleak Falls Barrow, and he is attempting to retrieve a golden claw for the innkeeper back at River.
Yeah, I'm excited to continue past. We stopped right before these axes because we thought we could get a little bit further, but my memory didn't recall how long this dungeon was. One of the things right before we stopped that we discussed that I think is one of the more fascinating things that we talked about was the fact that this dungeon has hundreds of candles and other artifices that are like ignited and lit. And we were wondering, who keeps up these candles? I don't know if we'll get an answer throughout the rest of this dungeon, but if people have any theories, feel free to drop them in the Twitch chat. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Yeah, so let's get started. I'm gonna hopefully not get cut by these axes. This is always one of the most intimidating things to walk through every time. Oh.
So I will give some perspective here, very quickly. If you look at the text Amongst the Draugr by Bernadette Bentienne of the College of Winterhold, there is a text that describes an interaction with the Draugr where it does describe various monotonous tasks being done daily, almost as if they're chores, such as lighting candles and preparing the dungeon in which they sleep for the second coming of the dragons, the dragon priests.
I love that there's actually an answer to our question.
Thanks, Todd.
Good light.
That's all I gotta say about that.
All right. Killed.
That's a reference to, of course, Todd Howard,
our benevolent creator of many Bethesda games. Though he's not really the one who created them, he's just the producer.
So in our last episode, we talked about how one comes across the abilities of magic, and kind of presumed that fire might be a base skill here that everyone already is kind of innately born with.
Yeah.
I do believe that's the case.
I mean, there's no evidence that to the contrary. I think it's all about whether or not you manage to master it effectively. And so I think that's the question, is like, so here's a question that gets raised by that. At what age do people start developing magic? Can, like, a 3-year-old kid just, you know, shoot fire out of its hands?
Well, I mean, by the rules of the Avatar, The Last Airbender, yeah, it could be basically like anyone. So I think that that's the case. Also, welcome to the chat, John Coltrane and Gamat.
What's up, guys?
I don't know. It's there's some kids in some of the other towns you'll see selling things or not really doing anything, and I kind of feel like if they had magic capabilities, they would be playing with it at least, or using it to some degree, whether it be play or like selling a service in the town.
All right, so somebody walk me through what we are discovering here. What is it that we've just found?
I believe
there's a word wall
of the strongest person in Bleak Falls Barrow, as well as access to a really cool, I don't know, glowing light? Wait, what's that thing coming towards us? Why are we shaking? Why did it get all dark?
Well, that was strange.
Apparently we just found some words on the wall. That's cool.
Oh, another zombie.
So this is a Draugr overlord.
Run away!
Draugr overlords are generally, according to the Elder Scrolls fandom, are actually about level 30. They're stronger than Draugr Scourge and White, but less strong than Draugr Deathlords. They have about 1,000 HP, so go at it there, social scientists. Take them down.
Well, fortunately, last time we played, we upgraded our flames. So, yeah, that wasn't actually that hard of a fight.
I think it does scroll with you, but...
Alright. So, I think this is one of those moments where we just picked up a random item, and when I've played this game in the past, you know, didn't really think about what we found, but this guy was holding a dragon stone, which, I mean, can't really see it that much.
You can zoom in.
I know. And now we can see it a little bit better. So what are we looking at here? What is this artwork that we're perceiving?
It looks like a map.
Oh, it does look like a map.
That looks like a map of Skyrim, which I never realized.
It's 100, and I think the stars. So I guess here's a question: is that the location of dragon tombs, or is it a location of words of power? Like, what do you think? And then we've got some words on the back here too.
That's actually a really good question. I was gonna say probably dragon tombs, but
yes, it is the location of the dragon burial mounds.
Oh. Well, there we go.
Do those... I actually don't know, do you just encounter dragons there? Like, I've never really found any, substance to those areas.
Some of them do have dragons that appear. Depending on how you time it, you will counter, Alduin waking up dragons. It's actually pretty terrifying when it happens. So... one of the things that I really enjoy about the design of Bleak Falls Barrow and many of the other dungeons that Social Scientist is acutely aware of in this instance, that you'll notice here that we've now come on some exit to this tomb. that isn't the original entrance. And when we're thinking about the design of tombs for any sort of society that did underground tombs, so I'm also thinking about like the way that the Egyptians created the pyramids in those tombs. The Egyptians would just, you know, in some of the Egyptian tombs, they would just lock servants inside with their, with the, like, pharaoh that was being buried there. But the design of these Draugr tombs, of these ancient Nord tombs, includes an escape route, which means that when they were constructing them, they designed them for the builders to have a back way out, even if they were building in really complicated significance into like the beginning of the tomb and like maybe not an easy way out. And that's also really important for air circulation as well, for the design of tombs.
Do you have a cite on that? Do you have a citation on that?
On what?
On that theory of an open door?
No, I have no citations.
Part of me also thought it was like earlier adventurers just kind of like saying, hey, for future adventurers, here's an easy way out.
I don't know. I think that, especially when you're thinking about the design of a tomb, that if you dig all the way down and then you need your builders to be able to get out easily, and the airflow thing is actually incredibly important in order to ensure that proper air is reaching down to wherever your tomb is. I don't know. I don't have the capabilities of looking up tomb design at the moment, so if somebody else has a theory, that would be great. That's my theory, though. And it also works out to be great level design so that you don't have to run all the way back through the dungeon. I was trying to provide an in-universe explanation for why they decided to make it so that you didn't have to leave through a more complicated route.
Yeah, I'll go with that. If anyone in the chat has another fun, silly example, either considering today's date or, I don't know, maybe you're inspired to look it up and share with us, you're more than welcome to do so. Where are we going right now? Chris?
Well, I'm just wandering through the forest, attempting to get back to Riverwood.
This is my treasure.
Oh, hello there.
Get out of here.
What are they saying?
He's saying, "This is my treasure, get out of here."
This is my treasure. Huh?
Oh!
Come on.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, the feed's cut here.
Oh, it cut? Okay, it looks like we're live again. Apologies. OBS, the broadcasting system that we're using, had a little glitch and cut us out. Apologies for that. And you all missed me kill that scavenger pretty epically, so that was sad.
Yeah, you kind of killed a fellow Stormcloak soldier there, didn't you?
No, he was a scavenger. He said, "This is my treasure," and then when I tried to talk to him, he attacked me. You guys will never know if that's the truth.
But it looks like most of the folks there are either part of the Stormcloak or the Imperials.
Yeah, it looks like there was some sort of little battle here between Stormcloaks and Imperials, and then that scavenger was just like, you know what, I'm gonna loot the bodies.
It's interesting that the scavenger didn't wear a particular set of weapon and armor, but kind of picked and chose the various things. I believe it had a Stormcloak cuirass, and the rest of its weapons were Imperials. Maybe that's actually a sign that we should be searching for peace.
Interesting. I've never encountered those people in the forest before when playing this game in the past. I don't know. We have a few mods enabled, so I wonder if that's part of it. Nirnroot. We have some Nirnroot, and now we are carrying too much to run. Great. Right as we were about to hopefully get back to Riverwood and sell all of our stuff that we found. Alright, you know, I'm going to drop at least one thing.
Yeah, I think you're above carrying capacity there, friend.
Yep, we're going to drop some food.
Why doesn't he just eat the food?
Well, I suppose we could do that. Well, you know what? I'm just going to litter. I'm a great environmental attorney. By the way, it's Earth Day this week. You all should do something for the Earth.
Can do. Also, thanks to Giamat, or Gamat, the translation on the tablet says, "Here lies our fallen lords until power of Alduin revives." Which makes sense considering the lore of the Draugr being those who consider themselves faithful to the Dragon Priests in Alduin, hoping that one day a second coming would bring them out of their tombs and into great power. So, you could actually argue that the Draugr were relatively cultists. We could also talk about, like, what does it mean to be a cult? What does it mean to not be a cult?
There it is. Strange.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things that you don't think about often.
Funny thing, huh?
When playing Skyrim,
I'm
but
gonna put this back where it belongs.
they do a good job of
Never
kind of
forget
allowing
this.
that
You've
atmosphere
done a
of the
great
game
thing
to
for
like
me
bleed
and
in.
my
If you want to
sister.
read the books, you can get more details about the Dragon Lords and the Draugr, but like they're just enemies. But when you think about it from a world perspective, like all of those Draugr that are in there,
Thank you
were
so
they
much for
truly
taking care of
cultists,
those
or were
things.
they indoctrinated in because of the society that they lived in? Did they really have any freedom to choose who they were when they were born into a society ruled over by these Dragon Lords? What do you guys think? Brian, I think we lost you a little bit there. Ethan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just waiting for Brian.
So what do you think? If we're not going to get an answer from Brian for a second, what do you think about the call? Oh, there you are.
The stream was down.
Oh,
That's how
it didn't go down for us. It was still live the whole time for me. That may have just been an internet glitch on your end. But it happens. So, Brian, did you hear my thoughts about the cults and stuff?
Whether it was something that was forced upon them or they had...
Yeah, did they choose to be a part of these dragon cults? All of the Draugr that we fight throughout this game.
Yeah, that's a possible question. I'm not sure.
I mean, I think to a degree, it probably was a choice because the presence of dragons was, you know, an oppressive thing to be in the face of. So the only choice is to be part of it.
Right. So is that a choice then? Or is it really just the society you're born into?
That is a good question.
So
it might be something we have to ruminate over and come up with an answer for next week.
Yeah, I think that was the reason why I'm kind of framing that question is that just that, like, are all of the Draugr that we're killing, you know, kind of just helpless victims of something greater? I don't know, thinking about those questions. So, what am I... Go ahead, Ethan.
Not to mention the candle making Second Life that we discussed in our first episode that they seem to have acquired.
Yes, that, I mean, and Brian found the proof that they literally do just kind of live that life and get up and do those regular things. So, like, yeah, they're kind of stuck in a really... Oh, and I picked up too many flowers. You know what? We're going to drink some mead. Because why not?
We're going to have to fix our carry weight here.
Yep.
Yeah, I do think so.
Well, we can level up whenever we want. We could always get stamina to increase our carry weight. But, so... Oh, beautiful sky today, by the way, for the night.
Yeah, I noticed that aurora. That's a pretty sweet addition.
I think some of the skies are in the original Skyrim game. I don't know if this is from like this being the special edition or if it's from one of the mods we installed, but that is pretty gorgeous. So, somebody want to walk me through what we just walked by and where we're headed?
Looks like
we did just pass the hunting.
Yeah, hunting brew meter.
Yeah. which I believe we actually drank a bottle of their mead as we walked by, so that's kind of apt.
And then a couple farms as well. And we're coming up on the stable house.
Just north by the Loria's Farm.
Yes.
City of Whiterun.
In a cart with a broken wheel. Like to see him laugh his way out of that.
Who do we have here?
Skulver, Sablehilt, and Uthgerd the
Sounds
Unbroken.
like you've had quite the journey, Uthgerd.
I believe Skulver
I got to thinking maybe
Sablehilt
coming
is
back.
actually the individual
Sound like my
who
ma. Figured I was
owns
lying dead in
the
field somewhere.
little
Is that it?
stables.
Oh.
Thought did cross my
She
mind.
seems important,
Talk of a riot
or at least a
in
great warrior.
Out jesters. Skyrim's gone mad.
What gave it away? The armor?
Careful.
Yes. And the giant sword.
Careful, huh? Thanks, Skulvar. I'll remember that.
Alright, so what city is this that we're approaching now?
We're actually approaching Whiterun, which is actually, according to the Elder Scrolls fandom wiki, it's considered, it once was considered Skyrim's equivalent of the Imperial City, but it's currently suffered a lot of problems, particularly the start of this possible civil war that's been going on. And there was actually once attacks by frost trolls on the city of Whiterun, even though it looks rather, I guess, it looks to be nestled within plains. So I wouldn't think frost trolls used to be around here, but yes, it was victims of frost troll attacks.
Interesting. And I mean, maybe that is why, like, some of these walls are actually kind of decaying and decrepit. So, Ethan, something that I was thinking about here. You know, we talked about, when we were leaving Helgen, the theory that the sewers were kind of combined with an escape route. And as we're walking up this hill, I noticed we've got this kind of, like, river sewer grate with the water flowing outward. And so, like, I'm now thinking about the benefits of this city being built on a hill from a public health perspective, and why having the water flow downhill would actually be really good.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a sanitary innovation.
But we'll be keeping an eye on you.
You know, anything running off the streets, coming from households, it's going to go down and away. And the cleanest water is obviously going to be at the top too. So if you're up on a high hill, you can dig a well and be above that runoff.
Right. And I imagine if this is the water is running down from this hill that's in the middle of the plain that Brian was talking about, this is probably spring-fed then.
Swallow that stubborn pride of yours and ask Yorland Greymane for help.
That might be something further to investigate.
Ben might need a Ulfric Stormcloak. Besides, Greymane would never make steel for
What is neat about the history of Cyrodiil is, at least from our perspective, all three of us growing up in Western culture, and growing up, all of us were born in the 90s, so it's not really a shock, but it is nice that the first business that we see on the right-hand side is owned by a woman. We actually see, like, women own businesses in Skyrim. We don't necessarily see, like, businesses only owned by a certain character or elite or class or role, someone with a very particular role. So I just thought that was neat when I played through the games. And social scientists might find that neat too.
No, I think that's a great point, that the gender dynamics within the society are fairly egalitarian in nature. I can't recall a single instance of, like, a storyline being based on, like, sexist assumptions or anything like that.
I mean, there is various characters that work at the market that report being, you know, harassed by men in town. So.
Well, yes.
That's great. Also, hey, Commander Root, thanks for joining.
If the news from Helgen is true, what would you have me do then? There's no telling what it
What's
means.
the meaning of this interruption?
Well, speaking exactly of your point, though, about women in leadership positions, we have a woman who is the bodyguard of the Jarl of Whiterun.
Who's this then?
Well, that explains why the guards let you in.
Yeah, I think within
Come on, then. The Jarl will
most
want
of the
to
Elder
speak to
Scrolls
you
game, there isn't necessarily, like... We can talk about, like, ascribed and achieved statuses, which is something out of like symbolic interactions within sociology.
With your own eyes?
So an ascribed status is something that you are generally, like... You are and you can't really change that. But like an achieved status is something you've attained through mastery. So like, if I had a child, I would have an ascribed status of a father. I couldn't really change that necessarily, but like, if I became the world's greatest dad, that would be something I would achieve. That would be more of an achieved status.
What do you say now,
Do you think that Irileth has a degree of ascribed status based on what type of elf she?
My lord, we should send troops to Riverwood.
I think that's a well. Okay, so that actually brings up the issue that dark elves are actually like incredibly discriminated against within Skyrim. So her significance as essentially an advisor to the Jarl here is very interesting.
What about the
Yes, my Jarl.
oh the clan of elves that are
That would be best.
they're like
Well done. You sought me out.
are they all dark elves?
You've done
I can't remember what they're called.
I won't forget it.
Are you talking about in the city of Windhelm?
There is another thing you could do for me.
No, it's a group that they all wear like gold.
Perhaps.
The Dwemer?
Is that the Aldmari Dominion?
My court wizard.
The Thalmor?
He's
The
been looking
Thalmor.
into a matter
Yeah, so they're
related
from the
to
Aldmari
dragons
Dominion, I
and
believe, as Brian just said.
rumors of dragons.
So, I guess I was wondering about the characteristics of that group, whether it was homogenous or not, but we're kind of getting away from what's going on.
Yeah, so, but to your question on ascribed and achieved status, like an ascribed status would be something like race or gender or sex.
Yes. Well,
like that would be something
when
that
I
is
say
ascribed
fetch,
to you.
I really mean delve into a dangerous ruin.
Generally based on
Straight to the
the
point.
expectation,
I,
expected
learned of
roles,
certain stone
behaviors,
tablets said to go to
kind
Bleak Falls
of
Barrow,
belief
find
systems,
this
thoughts
tablet.
of a certain society.
The dragon
Right,
stone of
So
like
when
by
you think
how the
about, like,
culture
You already
perceives
found
you.
this? You are
Yeah.
from a different
So when you think of like
cloth
status
than
and
the
roles,
brutes the
you think
Jarl
like
foists on me.
a status is something that you is something that you achieve or attain or are ascribed,
Is where your
and the
job
roles
ends
are the
and mine
expectations,
begins.
behaviors,
The work,
and values that
mine.
you're expected to have
Sadly
based on those
undervalued in Skyrim.
roles, or based on those, excuse me, on those statuses.
Farengar.
So, sorry, I was distracted by what Farengar was talking about.
Farengar, you need to come.
Oh yeah, we're still playing Skyrim and not listening to Brian do lecture.
You should come too.
So on this whole point of roles, though, I think it is interesting to notice that the Jarl of Whiterun has two elves as key advisors in a society that actually has started to really hate elves because of what the Thalmor have done.
I mean, I'm kind of not surprised considering the Jarl of Whiterun is ultimately like in favor of the Empire. So like, I'm kind of not surprised, but at the same time, yeah, there's something to be said there. I agree.
I forgot to sell things before we got in here, so still the encumbrance issue. But yeah, I think, but this loops us back to the roles issue that you mentioned, and all of the Jarls in Skyrim, though, are all men, if I recall.
No, my lord.
Unless I'm forgetting
Just
one.
circling overhead when I left. I never ran so fast in my life. I thought it would have come after me for sure.
I don't believe that that's necessarily
Head down to the barracks for some food and rest. Irileth, we better gather some guardsmen and get down there.
I've already.
Who are you thinking of?
Stand on ceremony, my friend.
Well, there is Jarl Eliseth.
Oh, okay. Where is she?
Fight this dragon.
She is a Nord. She is in charge of Hayfinger, and she is actually the widow of High King Torrig. So she is currently the Jarl.
In Solitude, then. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
As a token of my esteem, I have instructed Avon.
But it does seem that there's a lot less women than men in the Jarl role.
Accept this gift from my
Yeah, there is the matron of the manor in Riften as well, but
Okay.
she's not.
Oh, she's not considered a Jarl?
No, no, no. She's not the Jarl of Riften or that region. She's just...
She's the matriarch of the hunting brew meadery.
No, it's the other meter.
Yeah.
I forget what that one's called.
Hey, when we go to Riften, we'll figure it out.
Yes, this is true. So we were discussing that idea of a spring for water, and we've got water flowing downhill at the top of the hill. Also, there's 100% a skeleton in this spring.
So really, I think the public health implications of this are a little terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't know. What could a skeleton in the water do, Ethan?
Apparently give us money, so I'm not complaining. Well, you know, there seems to be a sort of a ecosystem here.
Yeah, maybe the salmon, maybe they put the salmon in the pool to get rid of any, like, sort of pollutants or sort of pollution that may have been coming off that skeleton. Also, we have no idea how long he's been there. He would just be like the friendly neighborhood skeleton at this point.
You'll notice that the water's flowing in the spring too. It's not going to stagnate. But,
right. So any pollutants that would have been in it could already be gone.
Actually, to go back to a certain point, the Jarl of the Rift in Riften is actually Lila Lawgiver. So we actually see pretty decent representation across men and women in the Jarl position in our current time in Skyrim.
Well, this is assuming that naming conventions match what we would assume in our own.
No, I looked it up.
Sweet.
Also, hey Galgola, welcome to the stream.
I'm having us wait so that we can do this fight in the daytime, and also so that we can sell a bunch of stuff before we go to
blades, helmets, pretty much anything.
Oh, actually, no. We should go to.
Don't forget to check inside the shop if you need anything.
Everybody's favorite merchant in Whiterun.
No, don't say it.
Bellathor.
Are you serious? We're going to go see Bellathor?
Yes. Wait, why is his shop not open?
It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
It's 11 o'clock, yeah.
Is there some sort of activation?
Oh, now it's open. They're supposed to have specific times that they open.
Welcome indeed. Everything. Take a look.
Take a look around.
Alright, so I'm just going to sell a bunch of stuff.
I heard he would
sell
his
I
sister
accidentally
if he
just
wanted
bought
to.
something.
Trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing.
There we. That's selling. Whoops. Alright.
Trinkets, odds and ends. That sort of stuff.
You know, a little of this, a little of that.
Alright now. We're a mage. We don't need any of this stuff.
Whoa, wait a minute. We're going to keep fur boots over leather boots?
Well, actually, we should use these hide boots of resist frost just because magic.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Alright, that's probably good. You know, I don't think we've actually, like, equipped ourselves to be a mage yet, so we should probably put, like, the novice robes and stuff on. Okay, do we want to wear a circlet of minor illusion or a novice hood that increases our magic?
Do we know any illusion spells yet?
I don't think so, so the hood probably makes more sense. Though at some point we 100% need to wear the Torturer's hood. Because why not?
Yeah, what does that look like? Oh, is that from the, execution?
Yeah, no, it's from the Torturer that we found in the basement of Helgen.
Well, I think that when we think about wearing the Torturer's hood too, we need to think about how others might perceive us in Skyrim. Would they consider us torturers if we wore the Torturer's hood?
I guess that's a good question.
What behavior would be expected of us?
I guess that's an interesting question to wonder, do Torturer's hoods have specific designs so that people know that they are a torturer?
Right. If it's not recognizable, then perhaps we're assuming our own identity when we put it on.
Does Bellathor dream of torturers' heads?
Social scientist is like, I'm going to be a torturer today.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how certain objects are identified. I mean, maybe it's really just that our character is remembering that that hood came from a torturer, and it has like special significance in their mind as the hood of a torturer, and they were actually like seriously emotionally scarred by that.
However, it was worth holding on to.
Precisely.
Or someone just kind of wrote on the back, property of torturer.
Does that torturer have a name that's worth remembering? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's interesting that all the guards generally don't have names. Like, I know in Oblivion, like, the head of the local guards all were named and had some, like, decent significance across quests, but in this case, the only person that is named, I think, among the Whiterun guards is the personal bodyguard.
Yeah,
and the head of,
I think you're
and
right.
the head of the, like, local militia. But even those don't necessarily get a lot of, like, personal quests other than, I think, the ones in Solitude and in Hell.
So let's talk about what are we approaching here? This, like, what is this tower? Why is there just a tower along this road? Like, why would you have a tower here?
Let's go.
So when you think of like old Skyrim, I did note earlier that at Whiterun they did fall victim to troll attacks.
Let's go.
At least within the last couple of ages. So you could say that like these towers are built mainly for defense or for watching out for major like threats to the city. We don't necessarily know how old this watchtower is, but you could theoretically see this watchtower as being relevant for even dragon attacks. Which,
depending on how old it is, yeah.
Is that a dragon?
Where?
Up there in the sky.
No, I don't see a dragon. Do you? Okay, so I just think this is cool. We can see.
Play with me.
We can see Bleak Falls. We can see Bleak Falls Barrow up on the ridge, which is a fun little.
Is that the very same?
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's no dragon in the sky. Dragon?
So it's kind of like a safety net concept too, to have these watchtowers on all sides of the fortress, and then of course there's walls around the actual city proper.
Right.
Why is he sneaking?
Why
was he sneaking?
Why aren't we sneaking?
Let's save us. Here he comes again.
What's he hiding from?
Oh, there's the dragon. You know what? We haven't used sparks yet. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is.
Whatever you do, don't die.
I haven't died yet.
That's not a good sign.
Damn. This is not a long-range spell. Alright, so let's talk about, okay, social scientist, what's going through his head in this battle? You know, we said on the last episode that he fought in the war against the, Thalmor. He was a soldier, probably conscripted. Oh, that was bad. So, what is going through his head in this moment as he is facing down a dragon for the first time?
I think it's about kind of the idea that, oh man, I guess this is not just Alduin. I guess this is something more.
That's a good point. This would be the second, like, you know, we would have thought that this would have been Alduin. And I mean, also, would we have any idea what sort of weapons would be good against this thing?
Not necessarily. I mean,
I would assume maybe only from stories as a conscripted soldier, you know?
Yeah.
But even those stories might be rejected as like kind of hearsay or unfounded or anecdotal. I mean, while there's not a lot of empiricism within this current, I guess, game, that is something to consider whether this would actually care about, you know, empiricism, or would care more about like just strict qualitative approaches?
Eat his soul.
Oh, hey, sibling streamer. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I see Sibling Screamer has joined us. I believe we should give a shout out to their channel as well.
Yeah, definitely check out Sibling Streamer. They're an awesome they're an awesome duo of brother and sister. We know the brother firsthand. And they stream a lot of cool stuff. Like recently, Jordan streamed with his, I believe, niece, some Stardew Valley. It was really cute.
That's what you did, isn't it? Absorb the dragon's power.
Alright, so what just happened?
We sucked the soul out.
Try to shout.
Okay,
which we would really only understood if we actually took the time to read the Dragonborn book.
Dragonborn can shout without training.
Who reads? Unless maybe you want to pull it out and read it.
Yeah, I feel like me reading a book right now wouldn't necessarily be the best use of our time. I don't know.
Hey, okay, so he's asked me to shout. Should I shout at him?
I've never heard of
no.
Shout at the bones.
Tell us where to shout, sibling streamer. Too late.
Tales tell of the Dragonborn who could kill dragons and steal their power. You must be one.
What do you say, Irle?
Okay, that guy's helmet is
at the
really
bones.
Cool. Look at that guy's helmet.
Tell us.
Yo, dude, shout those bones.
Yeah, not powerful enough to move the bones.
All right. To reach up.
So,
okay, little rattle.
They're just talking about random stuff, so I think it's time to return and maybe tell the Jarl about what we found. But after we go back to Whiterun, you know, so we've just discovered this power. We have no idea what it is, but our goal as a social scientist is to like investigate and explore the world. Like, do we really? So I guess the question is, do we really care about this power that we've just unlocked? What significance does it have to us? Like, what do we know historically about the ability to shout? That was incredible timing.
What is that?
So we just heard the shout, Dovahkiin, coming from the sky, and as I looked up, you know, we see this some sort of like monastery or something up on the mountain.
Yeah, interesting.
So that returns the question, as a social scientist exploring Skyrim, do we care? Do we care about who, like, this power that we've discovered?
So I think that... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that, you know, it's certainly startling and starting to raise some questions, but our initial goal when we crossed the border into Skyrim was venturing, you know, deeper into the territory and doing some exploration and research. So we're kind of at a crossroads here where we have to decide, are we going to, like, follow the pull of this scary new thing that's happening, or, you know, maintain our original goal?
Or both.
Right. So how are we going to do that? So right now we're going to talk to the Jarl.
Yes. But I've just encountered these two fellows who look very different from anyone we've run into before.
We will be back. This is not over.
I believe they are part of the Alakir.
We're looking for someone in Whiterun. We'll pay
so
good money
who are the Alakir, and why am I surprised to find them? Also, they have cool swords.
A woman, a foreigner in these lands. Redguard, like us.
Are they Redguard?
She's likely not using her true name. We will pay for any information regarding her.
So they are Redguard,
welcome here in Whiterun,
and native to Hammerfell and the Alakir Desert, the largest desert in Tamriel.
We will find her eventually.
It's impressive that they've kept their very... Well, I guess actually that very warm garb is probably very useful in Skyrim as well, considering it keeps them... You know, usually that's just to keep your skin from burning in the desert and to have good airflow, but in Skyrim that probably just keeps you warm.
Are you still working at the Bannered Mare in the evenings, Ophina? And why shouldn't I? Just because I'm a Grey Mage doesn't...
So I think, to your earlier question, there's something to talk about called rain. And role strain is, by definition, it occurs when the multiple roles that we have are either in conflict with one another, or we have trouble meeting the social roles expected of us. In this case, I think social scientist, he sees his role as befitting someone who would have the ascribed status of social scientist to understand the world. But now that he is considered the Dragonborn, those roles and expectations are very different. Instead of kind of knocking off and exploring the world and maybe writing some ethnographies, social scientist is now expected to perform the roles of the Dragonborn, and that could create some conflict, both internally and externally.
Yeah, absolutely, especially if he doesn't quite know what that entails at this time.
What do you know about the Dragonborn?
Well, we do have a book.
We could read it.
And he's telling us.
Yeah, so the Jarl just asked us what we know about the Dragonborn. So, that's just what the men called me.
Not just the men. The Greybeards seem to think the same thing.
So he's mentioning these people called the Greybeards.
Masters of the way of the voice. They live in seclusion high on the slopes of the throat of the world. The Dragonborn is...
Are those the scoldy oldies?
I don't know, we might be older than them.
Focus your vital essence into
yeah, we don't necessarily have a, I guess, clear sense of age, but it is possible.
I mean,
didn't you hear the
look at us.
Sound as you returned to Whiterun?
I mean, we are an old man.
You to High Hrothgar. This hasn't happened in centuries.
Yeah, there's a lot of sadness in those eyes.
Tiber Septim himself was summoned when he was still Talos of Atmora.
There's a lot of gray in that beard.
What does any of this Nord nonsense?
Maybe you were a graybeard.
It's possible. So Hrothgar just mentioned a man named Tiber Septim. Do either of you know who Tiber Septim is?
By my right as Jarl, I name you Thane of Whiterun. It's the greatest honor that's within my power to grant.
Not to any extensive degree that I can explain.
And this weapon from my armory to serve.
Tiber Septim was a Dragonborn and the first emperor of the Septim Empire. He's regarded as one of Tamriel's most famous figures, having been the only one in history to unite the continent. So when you think of Tiber Septim, we think of someone who actually united all of Cyrodiil.
Why, you puffed up ignorant.
So I think that's an interesting perspective as a social scientist to think about our significance in...
The Jarl has appointed me to be your
who
house,
is
Carl.
this?
It's an honor to serve you.
Lydia says that she is our Thane. No, we are the Thane, and she is our housecarl. Do we want Lydia to follow us?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like every good social scientist, you need a grad student assistant along for the ride.
Precisely.
One with better armor than yours.
Well, also, we're a mage. We definitely need a warrior by our side. Alright, so, we're leaving Whiterun. We've been called to this mountain. Doesn't look like there's a good way up the mountain on this side, so I'm thinking maybe we head east and see where that takes us.
Well, it does take us back over near that upturned boat.
Upturned boat?
Look to your left.
Oh, that? You want to go in there?
Well, it is an upturned boat.
It is an upturned boat. I have never noticed that before. Do you want to go inside?
Sure. If we think about the history of this group and its connection to Ysgramor, I think the upturned boat is actually part of an homage to how they used to build roofs back in this day, as well as the travels that Ysgramor took to bring his settlers to Skyrim and capture it for the Nords. As we know the history of Skyrim, that it was originally founded by Ysgramor. And it was...
Alright, so...
They fight.
Seems to be a rather rowdy bunch.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth diving into the storyline now, but it is interesting to walk in and just see two people fist fighting.
I wonder what happens if you shout at them.
Do you want me to do that?
Well, yes, we need to have some empirical evidence of what happens when we shout.
Run away! Oh no!
I think you should run away.
Lydia, take note. Don't shout at people.
Where is Lydia?
Just she'll follow.
Oh, there's a child.
The town seems a bit startled.
I think we've officially committed our first crime.
Potentially.
Next time, we'll talk about what is the justification for crime, how crime is formed.
I don't know, the Whiterun guard doesn't seem mad.
That's interesting. It's as if, oh, he's not concerned at all.
Oh!
We will see if the companions follow you out of the city.
You know what? We were just testing our shouting ability. We didn't mean any harm.
Yes, this is empirical research, sir. Empirical research.
It was a simple act of trial and error.
So I think it's interesting. So we noticed that the Whiterun guard didn't attack us, but we shouted at the people that lived in Jorrvaskr, and
why is there a hammer in the air?
Wait, what? Where?
Turn above the fire. Your left. Look up. 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 Right and up. See the pine tree?
What?
Go left now. Track to the left. Don't only move your face. Left. Don't move your body. Left.
What?
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Wait, what are you talking about? What
There's a hammer in the
There's
air.
a hammer in the sky.
Is that a hammer or is that a
pail.
bird?
It's a shovel.
It's a shovel. What? Okay,
I think
well,
that's a bird.
No, that's 100% a shovel or a hammer or something.
It's a cyrodiilic bird.
Okay.
It's called a pail.
Just your jump skill. Let's check it out.
Returning back to the conversation at hand. So, I was talking about how the people of Jorrvaskr just attacked us, and I'm 100% going to catch that butterfly. All right. But the rest of the town didn't attack, which indicates an interesting relationship between the people of Whiterun and the people who live in Jorrvaskr. It almost implies that they have a completely like they don't they kind of just keep each other separate. Are they not considered citizens of Whiterun?
Yeah, it's I think they were kind of predecessors to the... Is that right?
I think it's kind of an interesting connection between probably a public and a private group. Like when you think about a militia of a hold, I mean that's more than likely paid by taxes, right? But
yeah,
to be a member of the Fighters Guild, that's like being more of a part of a private organization. So that might be a very rare case where I guess doing damage or I guess shouting at members of a guild would not trigger guards to defend them, which is an interesting consideration.
Yeah, I mean, it almost makes you wonder, do the people of Whiterun not really like the people of
Honestly,
Jorrvaskr?
Where is our sanitation crews? Our highway patrol needs to step up.
There are also a lot of wolves on this road.
And dead bodies.
Well, I mean, I guess there's a good point that, like, once I killed this wolf, I didn't, like, drag it off the road or anything. But now I am, because you made clear that...
Yeah,
like,
I could hit
I think you should eat it.
Hit a wagon.
Oh, wolves don't have meat.
No, they just have pelts. There, we did our good job of putting the wolf carcass in the soil instead of on the road.
Yes, now it will decompensate and become a loamy soil for moss and wild.
Perfect.
We have done our Earth Week or Skyrim Week duty.
Yeah.
Now watch out for shovels that might come and act as carriers. Flying shovels eating dead wolves.
And another wolf.
Are you trying really hard for a I don't know, a title of this episode?
No.
So
it's just happening.
A few cool things that we're walking by. First off, there's a ruin up to the left. I don't really want to go up to it at the moment, but up to the left on this hillside, there is a cool fort over that ridge that we can see, which kind of fun, kind of curious as to what that is. But then we've also got, up ahead along the road, there's a fire up on the hillside, which is interesting. But then there's this river fort with a very impressive bridge spanning the river. And yet another wolf. Seriously?
Our curiosities are spinning and danger is imminent.
Yeah, so...
Beautiful.
What do you think the past of this fort, like... I could see a lot of really cool historical utility to this sort of bridge. Obviously, it seems to be in disrepair now, but given that it's actually built over the river, you could run like a mill down below that could actually be used to like power some tools to, you know, ground flour like many mills are used for, but other things too.
I could see this being like a eastern watchtower for Whiterun too. It's interesting. It will be interesting to see what its actual purpose is when we get up.
This here's a toll road.
Well, I think considering our time frame, we might actually want to cut out soon.
I think that's a good idea. This might be a good stopping point, but it looks like it is a toll road run by bandits. So...
What should we do?
You know what? I think we just call their bluff and say that we don't have any money.
Persuade? Intimidate? Persuade?
I'm not giving them any money.
Okay.
That's a real shame. Gonna make it hard for you to pay a healer after we cave your skull in.
Rude.
Now wait.
Poor lady, I didn't actually want to kill you. Alright, so that's one bandit. I'm actually curious how many bandits are in this crew.
Well, there's 5.
Also, notice that they have a book called Song of Perennial. So apparently they're readers. Okay, so that's the second one. Killed a second. So that's 2 bandits in this little crew. Let's clear out the tower before we advance. Oh, we've got another archer up here. 3 bandits. Oh, he's got a chair. That's fun.
Yeah, it really put a strain on the
you have a bow?
Oh, shit. That man is strong.
Oh, I thought we were going to keep this stream PG, friends.
I mean, yes, but also, that man is strong. Oh, we're gonna switch to fire again. Oh.
We could also level up, you know.
Well, yes, but we'll do that when we need to. Like now. So we talked about getting stamina so that we could hold more. Is that still a good idea, or do we want to increase our magic?
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna want more books.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, so... to destruction dual casting. We seem to be doing that a lot, so I'm gonna get us that so that we can wreck this man.
Yeah, good idea.
Oh, that was a woman. Wow, that was an incredible assumption on my part. So
yeah, we'll address that next week.
Yes. Leaning back into our conversation about gender roles in Skyrim. Alright, so I think there might still be a few more. But let's see. Yes, there is another archer.
The top of the other
tower. Yes.
Oh, and off to the right on the cliff.
Yes. Ow. There we go. Alright, so let's collect a few of these things, but while I'm collecting a few of these items, why don't we start to wrap up the conversation. One of the interesting things at this final moment, I think, was just noticing that this bandit group actually seems a little bit more sophisticated than a bandit group. I just picked up Mysterious Akavir, the book, A Dance in Fire, Chapter 4, The Song of Perennial, version 7. The Song of Perennial, is that verse 6 or version 6? Volume 6, that's the word.
Volume.
Yes. Mystery of Talara, Volume 1, and Life of Uriel Septim the 7th. This chief, assuming that this was her area, my apologies, is actually incredibly, like, well-read and, you know, seems to have a life beyond just stealing stuff from people. But that's how she died, stealing stuff from people. And I guess there's that question as to why this group of people decided that they were going to resort to running a toll on the road from Whiterun to Windhelm. So any final thoughts on that? Or maybe we save that for next week.
You go ahead first, Ethan. I'll finish up.
I think we should save it.
Okay. I will save that point. For folks who are watching, thank you for watching us. We've just taken down, I think it's Vaultine Towers. This is, of course, 2 doctors and a nurse walk into Skyrim Part 2. The Adventures of Social Scientists. If there's anything you'd like us to talk about, any ideas in Skyrim, any concepts you want us to go over, maybe you're taking a sociology course, and you're like, hey, this guy has taught an intro to Soch course. Let's just make him review concepts for me. Or anything of the like. Go for it. Throw it in the chat. Throw it in our comment section. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back soon.
Before we end, I'm going to level us up one more time so that it can carry more books. What should we... Alright, that was good. I'm going to end the stream now. Stop.